Hello, beautiful women, beautiful humans, everyone in the Powerfully Peaceful Women community. Happiest of Mondays. Monday here, where I am, and whatever day it is for you, because some of you watch this on, watch the replay or watch the recording. So happy now for whoever is watching this. Someone's just jumped on with me, so if you're jumping on, even if you can't stay, I always say that. I jump on lives and watch snippets and then go, okay, I'm going to come back to that later, but just give me a heart, just so that I know you've popped by. I've got the beautiful Carol with me, which is amazing. I'm so happy to have you here with me, beautiful woman. So today's topic, and in fact the next 3 weeks, so beautiful to see your face, Carol. I just love your energy. I love your willingness, your curiousness. Yeah, we've worked together for quite some time now, and yeah, I really love to honor the women that that really kind of go, show me something else. And Carol, you do that all the time. I love that about you. So thank you for being here with me. All right, so today and the next few weeks, because of the poll I ran a poll in the community asking you to share with me what did you want to know, what did you want to know more about? And the biggest hits for me, which I guess was kind of surprising but not surprising, but the biggest hits were feminine energy, feminine wisdom, womb wisdom. Awesome, all good, my love. And so it got me thinking, because all of that is so much more than me chatting to you for 20 minutes on a Monday morning. So I decided what I would do is I would break that up over the next few weeks. And I've got an incredible guest, one of my mentors, coming on to join me. If not next Monday, the Monday after, but I'll let you know about that. And we're really going to be diving into, over the next few weeks, the topics of menopause, our menstrual cycles, feminine energy, womb wisdom, right? These are all really have been absolute key topics for me in unraveling the truth of who I am and living powerfully and peacefully from that version of me. And many of you who are in this group or who follow me, you hear me talk about her all the time. You know that I have this deep inner knowing, this part of me that I commune with, and I call her her. And it is through understanding menopause, my cycle, that I'm going to talk about that. Yes, 10 years post-menopause, and yes, I have a cycle. So strap in for this. All of this wisdom, womb wisdom, harnessing the divine feminine energy that is the power source of her. Understanding all of this, which has been a journey I started probably about 18 months ago now, this depth of the journey has all been centered around understanding this part of me. It's led me to having a divine experience with Mary Magdalene. I'll talk more about that. I didn't even know anything about Mary Magdalene, but she literally came to me back in May. And all of this is just kind of, it's all taken me on this journey. But I want to today not drop you into the deep end of this, but kind of, let's get in the shallow end together first. And let's just start to have a conversation about how did this go for me? How did I begin to deepen my connection to this part of me that I had literally cut myself off from. And it's not my fault I cut myself off from that part of me. The world conditions us to do that, you know. So I thought that the one of the best places to begin this conversation that we will continue over the coming weeks is to start with my own story, because it may be familiar for some of you, and if not, you will have your own version of this. So there will be, I know that you're going to resonate with this if you're a woman. So I'm going to start touching very briefly on my experience as a 13-year-old girl with my menstrual cycle, because this is how far back we need to go to be able to come. We need to kind of go, it's like shooting an arrow. How do we move an arrow forward, or we have to pull it back first? This is kind of the same. It helps to go back so that we can come forward and go, oh, okay. That's why this has been my truth. But what else is possible? So just a brief snapshot of my experience with my first menstrual cycle back when I was 13 years of age. What I can remember about that is being in the bathroom, discovering that that I'd had, that I was bleeding, and then not knowing what to do, because at that point my mum was dealing with some stuff of her own and she was emotionally unavailable. But I had an older sister, so I knew what it was, because girl talk, right? I knew what it was. So I went to my sister, and she handed me a tampon and said, use this. And so that was my initiation into becoming a woman, essentially. And so what happened in that moment too was I was given the memo that this is something we don't talk about. This is something that, that is a pain for women. This is something that that needs to be kept behind closed doors. This is something that isn't honored or important. It's just, it's just something that now you're going to have to deal with for the rest of your life, or for whenever, right? Forever, for whenever. So I want to first invite you to think about that, and think about, what is your relationship with this part of you? Do you have a loving relationship with this part of you? Or do you have it as something that you keep in a box that never gets looked at or talked about or related with? So that's the first part of this. The second part of this, and when I introduce our guest that I'm going to have come on, she's going to dive more into that side of it. But I want to now bring you sort of forward to when I was 45. And at that point in my life, I was giving my body a real hammering. I didn't think that's what I was doing. You don't consciously give your body a hammering. But unconsciously I was. So for a couple of years, I was deeply entrenched in the world of body sculpting. So from 43 to around 45, I, for about 18 months in that time period, I lived a very rigid and structured regime of eating and training. I don't recommend it, personally speaking now. If you want to ask my opinion on it now, I wouldn't recommend it to any woman. However, that's what I did, right? I did very well at the sport. I even went on to represent Australia at the sport. Got to wear my green and gold at 43 years of age, representing Australia. But it came at a price, and the price was that while I was eating the way I was eating and training the way I was training, the stress that I put my body under put me into what is called amenorrhea, which is your period stops. So during much of that time, my period just stopped and I just went, whatever. And I also want to kind of share with you that there were, during my 20s, there was a time where I took the pill and didn't even have a period for long stretches of time. Okay? This all is impactful, right? This all impacts, first of all, the relationship that you have with that side of you and the disconnect from the wisdom. So I kept going with the body sculpting, and after I stopped doing that as a sport, my period came back, and then after a few months it just stopped completely. When I was 45, it literally just stopped like that overnight. And I didn't even have any relationship with that happening. I was just like, it stopped. No concept of what was actually going on in my body. No relationship to what was happening in my body. Just, it stopped. Now, my belief, this is just my belief. This is just coming from me. There's no truth to this other than this is my truth. I believe that the stress, the duress, and the low fat eating that I did, not just during body sculpting, but I came through the low fat era of eating when I was in my 30s, then into my 40s. I believe that style of eating for me contributed to my early menopause, my overnight menopause. Because we need fats for hormone production. So if your body's not getting certain fats, then you will trigger, this is what it was for me. Feel free to reject this. If this is not your truth, that's totally cool. This is just how I perceived it. So for me, I believe that depriving my body of specific fats for long extended periods of time just triggered early menopause, right? Because my body was of the belief, there were no fats, therefore no hormone production, therefore this part of me isn't necessary anymore. This isn't needed anymore. So we'll just do the next thing, which is menopause, right? That's just a very shortened version of that. But that's what I believe happened. But then from 45 to like 54-ish, I just had no relationship with that part of my body. And by that part, I'm talking about my womb, right? Just disconnected, completely disconnected from that part of my body. And that part of us holds insane amounts of wisdom. I cannot even begin to, in this quick 20-minute chat, tell you the amounts of wisdom contained in our wombs that most of us are disconnected from through having no relationship with it through our menstrual cycle. And then if you are in menopause or pre-menopause or post-menopause or going through menopause, you also are probably not having any relationship with it either. And if you are having a relationship with it, it is quite possibly a relationship of rejection. And what I mean by that is it's something you wish you didn't have, something you wish you didn't have to deal with every month, something that you wish, the symptoms, the menopausal tummy, the hot flushes, all of that stuff. It's like, I wish I didn't have to deal with this. Oh, I hate it. and I want you to consider that energy that you may be unconsciously circulating in your body around a process that is trying to communicate with you, right? It's trying to connect with you and offer you some wisdom that may support you in a way that you had not ever even considered or conceived of. So I'm going to go into I'm going to share with you, for me, the three biggest, I don't want to say mistakes, but they kind of were mistakes, myths, lies, memos that I was handed that that were just not true and really disconnected me from this part of me that's always been trying to communicate with me. So whether you're still having a menstrual cycle or whether you're in menopause, this is relevant. And in fact, I'm just going to do a quick side note here and say to you guys that whether I'm talking about menopause, whether I'm talking about boundaries, whether I'm talking about subconscious patterns, whether I'm talking about being stuck, whether I'm talking about self-love, self-responsibility, self-trust, it doesn't matter what I'm talking about with you guys. The bottom line in all of it is you, right? This all comes back to you, all of it, and your connection with yourself, right? It's just the layers that we put on top of that. What I like to do is to help you pull away all of this stuff that's been handed to you, so you can get to this part of you that holds all the wisdom for you to have a really powerfully peaceful life. It's all there, but we got to kind of blow up some of this stuff that we've been handed as truth that isn't true. And there's no blame or judgment here. This is just the conditioning most of us have had. So the first one I want to share with you is the myth about the symptoms that come with menopause. So there are a multitude of symptoms, right? Sleepless, not being able to sleep at night, hot flushes, weight gain, right? These are all symptoms of menopause, and there's probably a ton more. But whatever it is for you, hi Ange, whatever it is for you, what I want to offer to you is, what is your relationship with those symptoms? Because for me, the relationship that I had no relationship with that part of me whatsoever. It was just this, this thing I'd put in a box, and you might too. But what I want to ask you is, what is the relationship that you have with those symptoms? Is it one of rejection, hate, loathing? You wish you didn't have to deal with it? It's not fair. Why me? Why is this happening to me? If that's the energy that is underneath your relationship with the symptoms that you may be experiencing through your menopause or pre-menopause or post-menopause or your menstrual cycle, it doesn't matter, right? To be honest, it doesn't matter if we're talking about menopause and menstruation here, or we're talking about even just a part of you that you don't like. It doesn't matter. Your relationship to your body and what your body is trying to commune with you, share with you, is absolutely critical to whether you experience life powerfully and in your power and in your truth, or you become a victim to your symptoms. You become a victim to the experience. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is, if you're having, let's use weight gain, right? So weight gain is very common with menopause, especially in the tummy area. Now, I'm not saying not to seek out a naturopath or somebody who can support you with this. That would, to me, is another conversation, because I think there are ways that we can support ourselves with this. But the key element here that nobody talks about is, what is my relationship to how I'm experiencing this? So when I look in the mirror, do I look at my tummy and go, oh my God, I hate my stomach. I hate that I've got this going on. I hate that I'm gaining weight. I wish I didn't have this. I wish it was, different. Because if that is the energy with which you're experiencing what's occurring in your body, that's like you staring at yourself and saying, I hate you. That's like saying, that's you rejecting a part of you. And if you're rejecting that, then you are missing out on what is it that it's asking from you. What does it want you to know? What does it want you to understand? What is it trying to communicate to you? What does it need from you? Does it need your hate, or does it need your love? Does it need your loathing, or does it need your acceptance? Does it need your rejection, or does it need you to make space for it because it is a part of you? This has been so critical and so key to me loving myself. It's that simple. I'm trying to, there's nothing complicated about what I'm sharing with you. What is complicated is how complicated we make it. How complicated we make this. How hard on ourselves we are, when really our body is just trying to communicate something to us. But what we've done is we've bought into the labels that we have been given. So let's just look at one label. There are symptoms to menopause, right? What if we change that to there are experiences through menopause that are going to occur for me that will show me what my body needs in order to do what it knows how to do, right? What if we didn't reject our symptoms, but we honored them as sacred wisdom to show us a peaceful pathway through something our body knows how to do? Our body knows how to do this. But we're either rejecting the process, which is rejecting ourselves, or we're honoring the process. If you're having hot flushes, or if you're having, sleepless nights, are you beating yourself up over that? Or are you actually spending time with yourself and going, okay, what is my body actually wanting from me right now? What is she trying to communicate with me? What is she trying to tell me? And instead of giving her what she needs, we reject her and try and force ourselves to continue soldiering on. This is true through our cycles as well, through our menstrual cycles. When we're, when we're in pain, or when we're experiencing a heavy cycle, or whether we're, whatever it is, what we tend to do is we just, we reject that our body's asking us for something, and we push through. How many of you, push through and go to the gym when you might be actually feeling really, like you just need rest? Your body's screaming to you, I just need rest right now. I just need rest right now. And you just continue to push through and go, yeah, I just got to get on with it. I just got to get on with it. I'm just going to reject that part of myself. So the first part of this for me is your symptoms are not your enemy. Your symptoms are you. They're part of you. And if you know that they're you, how can you bring a little more love to them? How can you bring a little more compassion to them? How can you bring a little more acceptance to them? How can you bring a little more empathy to them? How can you bring a little more respect to that part of you? And you may be listening to this and going, yeah, but that's too hard, Jen. Then I'm going to say, cool. Enjoy the process the way it's going for you. You know, if it's not, you know, how's it working out for you as is? And why not? Why would you not even try on an alternative? Yeah. The second thing that I want to share with you is in and around menopause for me at 45, when it happened overnight. Is that I was of the belief that my cycle had ended. My cycle as a woman had ended at 45. So for almost 10 years, I disconnected myself from the understanding that I no longer had a cycle. I do have a cycle. Every woman and man has a cycle. Whether you are menstruating, whether you're in menopause, you are still experiencing a cycle within your body. And the best way I can describe this for anyone is to think about the cycle of nature. This is how I really understand my body and how I can tune into where I am inside of my cycle, right? I honor that part of me now. I move to understanding where am I in my cycle. Every woman and man is in a cycle, but I'm just speaking to women right now. You're in a cycle, just like nature. We're not separate from nature. We beat to the same drum nature beats to. So if you think about nature and think about the seasons in nature, if you think about, I always love using the apple tree. So the apple tree in summer, it's like, woo, full of fruit, right? You've got beautiful, big, juicy red apples. That's what happens in summer. And then what follows summer? Autumn. What happens in autumn? Well, there's no more fruit. The leaves, some branches, some bits and pieces off the tree begin to release, right? What happens following autumn? Winter. What happens in winter? Well, the tree rests. The tree does nothing. In fact, it actually looks quite dead. But what it's doing is it's regenerating. It's drawing nutrients up from the earth through a deep sleep process. And what happens following winter? Spring. The blossoms start to grow, right? And the process begins again. The leaves grow, the blossoms grow, the tree suddenly is full of is bursting with life in the spring. And then the summer, we've got apples again. This is true for us. This is exactly true for every one of us. We are all going through that cycle. And the easiest way for women to really connect with this part of themselves is to do it through the cycle of your of either your menstrual cycle, or if you no longer have a bleed, I use the moon phases to understand myself. And there is a whole process to do this. I'm not going to go into that with you now, but I want to share with you one of the biggest issues for women is that we try and be in our summer the whole time. We try to be these 24/7 apple producing machines. And we're not honoring the other phases, the other seasons. We're not meant to, why do women experience burnout either during their menstrual cycle or in menopause? Why are they burning out? Because they think that they are supposed to be able to produce apples 24/7. You are not. You have an autumn. You have a winter. You have a spring, right? And when you can tune into your body and understand, where am I on a month by month basis, where am I in that cycle? I then get to honor what my body is trying to communicate to me. In winter, it needs deep rest. There is a week or so inside of my 4-week cycle where I need deep rest, which means limiting my time on social media, limiting my catch-ups, limiting the kind of food, not smashing myself at the gym in that one particular week, going easy, doing yoga. And when I can tune into that, and we all can, when I can tune into understanding that cycle, my cycle, right? And we all have this, every woman does, and so do men. When I can tune into understanding that, then I get to honor what my body is asking of me. I get to go, oh, I can hear her now. I can hear what she wants. And I can stop beating her up and making her to try and produce apples. Be in the summer of it. Okay? So your cycle never ends. Whether you're menstruating or whether you are in menopause, you have a cycle. We all do. And if you can tune into your own cycle and understand that, and then honor what your body is telling you that she needs. She's an apple tree. Tune into what she needs and then give her what she needs. You will become a powerhouse, and it will be the most easy and effortless thing that you do, because you will be continually regenerating through your cycle when you know your cycle. So that's the second one. Your cycle didn't end. So the first is, your symptoms are not your enemy. Learn to love and accept and allow your symptoms. The second is, your cycle didn't end, right? Honor and understand your cycle. And the third part, especially for menopause, and this is so important in terms of being the holders of the wisdom. So one of the things we're going to dive into over the coming weeks as well are archetypes, right? So just a small version of this is, when you get your first menstrual cycle, you move into this maiden phase, right? The maiden archetype. And then when you have children, you move into the mother, right? Or the wild woman. And then when you have, when your cycle ends, you move into your wise woman or your crone, right? These are archetypes. Now, this isn't something that I'm making up. This goes back to the dawn of time. Ancients have understood this. And we can too. So the most critical thing is to understand that wherever you are in your cycle, wherever you are, whether you are menstruating or in menopause, nothing is an ending. It's it is an ending, but it's also a beginning for your wisdom to be held and contained and passed on, right? So as we move into menopause, for me now, when I first, I've got to be honest and say, when it happened overnight for me at 45, I kind of felt, I felt a bit like I'm not needed anymore. Yeah. And it was kind of hard, right? It was like, oh, I don't have a purpose anymore as a woman. I don't, I can't produce, children. I can't contribute. There's this weird thing that went on in my head. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else experienced that, but it was just kind of weird. I was like, oh. And then I was like, I tried to cling to the wild woman, the mother, right? I tried to cling to that archetype and not let that, not lose that. And then I resisted. I was really resisting moving into, my crone or my wise woman. But just like those cycles of nature, these archetypes are also part of what our body knows how to do. And everything is connected. We've got our mind, we've got our heart, we've got our womb. They are all speaking to each other. Well, at least they should be. But most of us have got them all disconnected. And we're not tuned in to this beautiful, powerful way in which our bodies know what to do. They just know what to do. We just make it so frickin' hard because we take the external conditioning that we've had handed to us and we try and overlay that over the top of this innate wisdom that our bodies as women have. We know, our bodies know. Now imagine if we had a relationship with that part of ourselves where we get to be the champion, right? We get to be the lover of ourselves that allows that makes and creates the space for our bodies to do what they know how to do. Yeah. Now I've gone through this super, super fast because there's so much in this. But I want to continue to unravel this further for you. And as I said, I've got a guest coming on in a couple of weeks where she is just so, she's just incredible in her knowledge of honouring the feminine, honouring the wisdom and the power that the womb holds, that we have cut ourselves off from. Yeah. And when you connect to this part of you, what I can tell you unequivocally, is you will never abandon that part of you ever again. You will never turn your back on her to make someone else's life easier or better. You will choose her again and again and again. And I sometimes have had people say to me, I just need to create that trust with her. You never lost it, right? She's never left you. She's been there the whole time, waiting patiently. That's what she does. Even when we don't listen to her, even when we, make her, try and produce apples 24/7 and she's not meant to, she keeps going. But she's just waiting for you. She's just waiting for you to connect and go, oh, there you are. And start to really tune in to what she needs. What does she need right now? When I'm in that winter phase, there's no way I'm going to smash myself at the gym because it's like me smashing her. No, she needs deep rest. There's this 1 week every month where she needs deep rest. And I give that to her. So I move my body in a more nurturing and nourishing way. Walks, yoga, sometimes nothing at all if that's what she needs. And then when I am in my spring or in my autumn or in my summer, I get to be fully present to that. And again, support the innateness, support the part of me that knows by heart what to do. She knows by heart. Can we honor that part of ourselves and give that part of ourselves the space to do what she knows to do what she knows how to do? Or are we going to continue hating on ourselves and rejecting ourselves and rejecting something that is the most honoring thing to have, you know, to be in that to have that cycle, to have that womb wisdom. There's so much power and knowledge in that, in your womb wisdom. But many of us are in this masculine energy, you know, and those cycles, by the way, have feminine and masculine energy. You know, our spring and our summer, you know, are masculine energy, and our winter and our fall, our autumn and our winter are our feminine energy. You know, it's our nurturing, resting, regenerative energy. So we have both, and we're designed to move from both those energies. But most of us, most women, especially in the 21st century, we think we have to be in that masculine energy 24/7, which is us literally beating the shit out of ourselves 24/7. No wonder we're burnt out. No wonder we have no connection to this life force that exists inside of us. No wonder, right? So, over the coming weeks, we're going to dive even further into this. If you are feeling exhausted or burnt out or have no relationship with that part of your body, if it's triggering you, amazing. It triggered the shit out of me when I first dived into this stuff. It was like, really? Yeah, I don't need to know any of this. I'm just going to get on with it. But there was also a part of me that knew I was rejecting my feminine energy. Yeah. And the reason I knew that was because I struggled with resting. I struggled with doing nothing. I struggled with being. Yeah. I didn't know how to just be. And I was worn out, right? I was worn out. And I was perpetually worn out. I was in this cycle of burnout. Yeah. There's so much wisdom inside of our menstruation and our menopause. It's there for us, right? It is such an honor to have that divine innate wisdom inside of us. Like every woman carries this power source. And yes, some of us may have some wounding in that part of us, and I'm going to talk more about that over the coming weeks. One of the things that I learned, received during receiving the Muniki rites from the Kyoto Nation, the shamans, back in March, was the rite of the womb, which was an intensely powerful healing of some deep ancestral woundings that I held in my womb. But we don't have to wait for that. We can start to connect to that part of ourselves now. Yeah. Okay. I am going to draw a card from the beautiful Divine Feminine Oracle book. It is the new moon. I think it's 10:15 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I think it's tomorrow, the new moon. So that's something to consider as well, especially in menopause. If you are in menopause and no longer have your bleed to guide you in your cycle, the moon phases are really powerful to connect in with. And there is a process that I teach. The women in Unstuck know this process. that did my Unstuck program understand this process. But there is a way to attune and align yourself and know your cycle. Yeah. All right. So if anyone has any questions about this, please reach out. So the card, I've never drawn this card before. She's beautiful. I don't know if you can see her. I'm just going to try and show you. So beautiful. So perfect for this conversation. So Teresa of Avila, I think it's Avila, Teresa of Avila, Our Lady of the Interior Life. Of course, this is the card that would come through today. Yeah, and it's the new moon, right? So right now, the moon is almost completely in darkness. So if you feel like you are in the dark a bit at the moment, or you feel, like, you know, you've got some darkness or some shadows or some stuff you don't want to look at right now, if that's coming up for you, yeah, that's no surprise. The energy of the new moon will do that. It is that darkness, and it's an opportunity for us to revisit anything that we perhaps haven't been willing to look at, to go within for that. So Teresa of Avila, Our Lady of the Interior Life. So the intention of her message is, I trust the answers I find within me. That's everything I've been saying today. Creating a degree of trust in ourselves, like full self-trust. To me, that's the work. You know, people talk about the work. The work is trusting yourself. That's the work. You know, hearing yourself is one thing. Trusting what you hear. You know, if your body is telling you to rest, well, you've got a choice, haven't you? You can ignore that, or you can honor it. Yeah, one of those is trusting that your body knows what to do and you're going to give it what it needs, or not. Yeah, I trust the answers I find within me. I know that the presence of love is real. Yeah, there is no greater love held for you than the love of the divine feminine. That's who you are. That's who we all are. Yeah. I'll see. Let me have a look and see. I will share this in the comments. Teresa of Avila. Oh, she's early in the book. So there'll be information about who she is, so you can learn a bit about her. When your soul selects her card, Saint Teresa is a call for the importance of the interior life. Oh man, the interior life has changed my exterior life. Creating a relationship with interior me has completely transformed my exterior life. Yeah, and I didn't do anything to my exterior life. I just created a relationship with interior me. She knew intimately about the spiritual wealth we all possess and have access to if we're willing to go inward. She not only emphasized the need to meditate and to pray in order to reach that innermost castle where the soul waits for us, but she also instructed the sisters of the convent on how to discern the presence of the soul, or of a saint, or of a holy person that is giving us wisdom from within us. If you think about that, what I hear when I read that is we are all saintly, we are all holy, we are all divine, right? That innate wisdom is what is in all of us, and you'll find it in your womb. Yeah. She had a bookmark that supposedly read, "If you have God, you will want for nothing. God alone suffices." This synthesizes the wisdom of her experience. Nothing less than divine love will satiate a seeker, especially once you have met with it from within. Nothing less than divine love will satiate a seeker, especially once you have met it from within. She urges us to meditate, to pray, to go inward and meet with the presence of the soul. And then she asks for us to believe that it is real and that the answers we find are real. She asks us to move that inner truth out into the world with confidence and conviction. Yeah, and what I hear when I read that is when you begin to honor what your body is asking you for, you are going to be asked to put that in the world with some conviction. You know, I've said before that I refuse to abandon myself to make life easier for someone else. And what that means is, you know, I refuse to abandon myself because I'm scared of what someone will think of me if I say no, for example. You know, if I know that my body needs deep rest, I don't worry that people are going to think that I'm rude or bad or whatever if I don't respond to messages straight away. But bringing that to the world with conviction and power is the process here. Honoring yourself above all else is the process here. Imagine a world where we all honored ourselves above all else. We would be so full of divine love that nothing else would overflow from us. Because consider that if you are rejecting yourself in any way, then that energy is also going to permeate throughout your life. You may experience rejection. You may reject possibility. Yeah, it's all very interconnected, but it all starts within. And I love it. The soul voice meditation today the question is, what does love feel like in my body? What does love feel like in my body? That is such a profound question. I'd love to hear the answer to that for some of you. What does love feel like in my body? Do we even know? Have we forgotten? Can we connect to it quickly, or do we have to go searching for it? What does love feel like in my body? What does love for myself feel like in my body? That's what just came through for me. What does love for me feel like in my body? And if you get some anxiousness out of that, if you kind of go, oh, you know, you may have a connection to the story of it's not safe to ask for what you want. Yeah. And maybe ask yourself, when did I ask for what I want and got rejected? So therefore, my needs, it doesn't feel safe to ask for what I want. My needs cannot be important. Yeah, something to just think about. All right, let's do our soul voice meditation together. And if you have any questions about today, as I said, I've really, condensed a lot into a very short conversation. If you want to talk about this, specifically for yourself, let me know. We can, we can definitely, do something for you there. And we're going to go deeper into this over the coming weeks. There is a lot. There is centuries to unravel for most women in this conversation. So, be okay with it's not going to happen overnight. Be okay with taking small steps towards honoring, your womb wisdom that you have been conditioned to disconnect from for centuries. Yeah. No blame, no judgment. It's the history of our humanity. But, history is this moment. This moment becomes our history at some point in the future. So we can create a new world by recreating new patterns. Just because we've always done something a particular way doesn't mean that that's how we do it forever. So many examples of this. Sharing this wisdom with my daughter is so important to me. So she gets a new version. She gets a new version of this. Yeah, honoring women. Women honoring women, a world full of women honoring women. I think it was the Dalai Lama said that the Western woman is the key to the new world, a new earth, the world changing. And I really believe that. And I believe it starts within. It starts, as Saint Teresa shares with us. I trust the answers I find within me. This is the start, and this is truly, such important stuff. It's just so important. So let's join together now, and remember we have our 3 intentional breaths. You can do this later on and do it for longer. You can do it multiple times a day. It's as simple as the first breath is just to drop into your body. I like to I like to call myself back from all time, places and spaces so that I'm fully in my body. The second intentional breath is where we drop into our heart and we ask that inward question to ourself, to our higher self. What does love feel like in my body? That's our question today. You can ask a different question anytime. And then the third intentional breath is a breath of gratitude. It's a breath of thanks and appreciation for what we know by heart, right? We're thanking ourselves. We're thanking our higher self. We're thanking we're thanking the wisdom that is inside of us for guiding us, for protecting us, for nurturing us. So let's begin. Let's begin with taking that first breath together. If you're driving, I would recommend pulling over. But if you are sitting somewhere and you can do this with me, please join in. So let's just begin by closing down our eyes. And let's just begin together by just taking that first intentional breath. This may be the first intentional breath you've taken all day, all week, all month. I get it. So let's breathe in together. Breathing in and breathing out. And just notice the air traveling in through your nose, down into your lungs, filling up your lungs, filling up your chest, filling up your body. And just become aware of the air moving in and out of your body right now. And as we bring our focus and our attention to the beautiful breath that travels in and travels out of our body all day long, let's together just call our energy back from all time, places and spaces today. And as we become aware of our body and our energy and where we may have left it today, maybe you had a hard conversation, maybe something you saw was upsetting, just invite your energy back into your body. Just lovingly call yourself back. And as you do, just notice yourself softening. Notice your heart expanding like a beautiful flower opening, calling you home. Calling you to soften and rest down into the petals of your heart. And just noticing your energy now softening, 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 and melting down into the beautiful, soft, pink petals of your heart, calling you home to rest. And as we arrive into this soft, soft space, we take our second intentional breath. You may even be able to smell the scent of roses or whatever the flower is that has opened, that you've softened into. And as we take our second intentional breath, we invite the question to our heart wisdom, to our womb wisdom. What does love feel like in my body? So let's breathe in that breath together. And breathe out. And we invite the question to the soft space within our body. We ask our higher self, what does love feel like in my body? Maybe you might even ask, what does loving myself feel like in my body? And we'll invite some silence now for a couple of minutes to hear what we hear, feel what we feel, see what we see, notice what we notice. What does love feel like in my body? As we give thanks and appreciation and gratitude for the wisdom that has been shared with us, we take our third intentional breath together. Breathing in, and we breathe out. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. When you're ready, just come on back here with me. Come back into your space, into your body, into your awareness. And just know with that meditation, you can do that anywhere, anytime. And sometimes when I do it, I don't always receive an answer that I know has come from here and not here. But I do often get shown throughout the day what my higher self wants me to know. Sometimes it's in a song, sometimes it's in a random headline that I see somewhere, sometimes it's in, just it might be one line in a conversation that I have with someone and my body just goes, that's the thing. So our gratitude is in it is done, knowing it is done, and so it is. So I speak it, so shall it be. However you want to receive that, the wisdom is there for you. She's always there for you. She holds you with such reverence and such love. Yeah, she's always guiding you, guiding me. Yeah. All right, next week, either next week or the week after, I'm just waiting for my special guest to confirm she can jump on at 10 o'clock next Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific time for the people in the northern, and whatever time that is for you, wherever else you are. Yes, we're really going to continue to explore this as a conversation because it really is. It is just life-changing. It can be. It's just profound to begin living with that level of reverence for the wisdom that you know by heart. All right. Thank you, beautiful Carol. Thank you, Angela. Thank you for, if you catch it on replay, please just comment replay. I will put the timestamps in so that you can fast forward to the bits you want or re-listen to the bits you want to re-listen to. And of course, it does go out. I send this out via email as well to my database. So yeah, plenty of ways for you to take on and tune in. Okay. Lots of love to you all. Have a great week.